Hi everyone, this is Julie from the Scraps of My Life. I'm back with this is really the second part of from the page assembly to show you how to attach the pages to the album cover. Okay, but what I found out after reviewing my album in some previous videos I had taken, I did attach the front of the album to the book cover and not the back of the album. So I did it the opposite that I normally do, and the opposite of what I did with this one. So I told you incorrectly. I apologize for that. I will make that correction in the video after I get this one up. I'll put a notation on the video if YouTube will let me. But I attached the front cover of the album pages, the front pages, to the album cover instead of vice versa, instead of the back page. So what you'll need to do that is another hinge, like the extra hinge I told you were going to need in the back. You will no longer need it in the back. You will need it in the front. Okay, so I did just a flat hinge. If you did a dimensional hinge, if you did a hinge with a gusset, you will need that. Or you may not choose to do a gusset just to join the pages to the book cover. You might just want to do a flat hinge for this part. It worked out nicely on the album that I made. So you're just going to, of course, apply your red line tape like we did before. Do this as quickly as possible. Looks like I've got some overlapping going on here. So I put the 1/2 inch tape on the binding edge, and then I put the 1/4 inch on the outside edge here. And then it covers the whole surface of the hinge. I'll do the other side here first before I grab the 1/4 inch. Then I'm not picking it up and laying it down. I have a few other tips that I want to mention on this album. Some variations, not exactly how I did the other one, but some variations to this album of how you create it. So before this video is done, I want to tell you about those variations. Excuse me, because this is a vertical book, and the other one that I did with the paper bags is horizontal. So I'm going to show you how to do that horizontal cover on this vertical book if you prefer to. Okay. Alright, let's get that over there out of the way. Burnish our tape down really quickly. Oops, I had a little bit of a hair in there, didn't I? Okay, so just like before, you're going to put the binding edge, the folded edge. That's going to be your binding edge. Going to remove the backing. I'm going to do this side here. It's bigger. Wrong, this one. I didn't do it exactly in half, as you can see, so I'm going to put the smaller half here. And the measurements for this hinge is the same as the others. Okay, press it down, burnish it. Okay, remove the backing. If it's easier for you not to do it this way with the backing, the second piece of tape, then please feel free to do it like you choose. But I always do this for precautionary reasons. Okay, now it's ready to bind to the book cover. Now, designing the book cover. I am just going to use this white piece of cardstock. It's a lightweight piece of cardstock because I don't have right in my grip another piece and an idea of how I'm going to do this. So I don't like wasting paper. So I'm just going to use this lightweight cardstock. Well, you would probably use excuse me, you would probably use a really heavy cardstock like I did on the other album I showed you in the first video, how to assemble the pages. Or you would use a lightweight chipboard. okay? But I would not recommend a heavyweight chipboard for this project. It's not necessary, and it works better this way. It's easier, it's quicker, and it comes out looking very much nicer. So if you can get your hands on a really nice heavyweight cardstock, that's what you want to use. All right. To size the album cover, you want it in height and depth to cover your pages, and you're going to want this one to do it exactly from the top to bottom, because you don't want any overhang really, because this almost fits this perfectly. It's just a little bit bigger, see, about I'd say a 1/16 of an inch taller. So you don't want it any taller, but you are gonna actually, I think I keep the width the same as well. I might have to take it over just a bit. That's 5¼ inches tall. So we are going, the width of it, let's see the width, make sure I've got enough. Okay. So 5¼ tall. We're going to cut it this way. Okay. This piece of paper is almost square here anyway. And I cut it exactly, but the actual measurement is 5¼ I'm just double checking here and make sure I'm correct. Okay. The paper wants to be all crazy. Okay, stick this on here. All right, 5. Alright. Well, it's as exact as I think I'm going to get it. And let's see if my measurement is the same. Alright, 5¼ And then the width of it is determined by how much gusset that you want to put on it. Okay. Let's scoot this over just a snip. Actually, let me just get it out of the way, because I might not even need to cut any off of this. On my original book, I did a 1/2 inch gusset. That depends on you, how much gusset you want to do. I'm going to mark this with a pencil. This is where the book lies. Okay. So you're going to want to put a, well, from edge to edge, I don't know if this is an exact measurement, 3½, 3 and over 3½ wide. It comes out to be 3 and 5/8 inches wide. So you want the width of your book to be at least 3 5/8 inches, and you might even want to go a little further than that over, to make sure it covers the pages. You don't want your pages poking beyond your cover for sure. Okay. So your first score line will be there. If you decided 3 5/8 or a little bit more than that, that will be your first score line. Your next score line should be a 1/2 inch from that. If you want to do 3/4, if you want to do more, which is actually quite a lot, or even just a tad more than a 1/2, that's up to you. But I did a 1/2 inch score line is what I did. Okay. Then you take and fold on your score lines. I'm going to fold these inward. Okay. Turn this one over and fold it. So that makes the binding edge of your album cover. Okay. That's what I call the binding edge. Alright. So this is what you end up with. So this actually turned out to be absolutely perfect piece of paper here. So this paper measures 8 inches wide. Okay, approximately. Actually, it's just shy of it, just a tad on this thing. So you might want to just go with 8 inches wide and do a 1/2 inch gusset, and that should fit your book perfectly. So 8 by 5 1/4 it was. That way, and then the width of it was 3 5/8. I believe it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8. Okay. Anyway, so you have your cover. All right. It has a 1/2 inch gusset. Now on the book that I made, since I attached the book to the front cover, when I put the book in there, my gusset wasn't as snug as I wanted it. It wasn't as firm as I wanted it to be. So what I done was I cut a piece of paper again from the same cardstock that would fit from my inside of this line right here. Okay, I didn't put it on the line, I put it on the inside so this can fold nicely back and forth. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's correct. That is correct. And from that line to here, I measured and cut another piece of paper, the width and the height. Okay, the width and the height. Okay, and then I glued. You can use score tape or your red line tape. I glued this down with score tape, and then this part I just used my regular glue. And I glued that down to that extra piece onto this one. Okay, so I reinforced the gusset binding edge, and I reinforced this page. And this page is what is glued down to the box. Okay, like that. Okay, now as you can see, the album protrudes on this side of the box. Alright, so try to keep that down as little as possible. It looks like I may have too much on that side. We'll know when the book is in there, won't we? So how you do this is you lay this out. Now here's a note for you. I did not attach my book to my cover until I found it necessary to do. Okay. Until my book was assembled. I assembled the pages. Excuse me. But this is a note. The longer you can keep it off of this, the better, because you can work easier on your book. Okay, and also, if you get your book part, your pages finished, then you'll know how wide you really need your gusset to be, that it'll sit nicely in there, you see. Okay, but anyway, when you go to attach it, this is your binding edge, so this part is going to attach to the front page, the front cover, you see. Alright, and how you're going to do that is you're going to close this, remove that backing, and flip everything upside down so you can see it, because you don't want this to attach beyond this fold. You want to be able to fold that to fold nicely over like it should. Alright, so you keep this on this side of the line. Don't bring it on the binding edge. Okay, do not bring your book pages on this side. You keep it on this side. Okay, alright, so it's going to go right up to it now, not a 1/16 over or anything, not like that. You want it right up to it, just so that it'll close, fold over nicely. Alright, you want it right up to it. Don't want the book attached to the binding edge. You want it attached to the front cover. And when you have done that, you will see that it looks like something like this. I'm not going to attach this one because this book is not going to go on this paper, of course. And then that's what you'll have. You'll have your front cover attached to your book. and that's the only attachment to the book. Okay, so then you will take your decorative paper, cut it to fit, always inside of the fold line. Always inside of it, not in the middle of it, not over it, always inside that fold, because that crease right there, because you don't want to get your book together and find out, this is really bright, sorry about that. Don't want to get your book together and find out you can't close it because you put it on the fold. Okay. Okay, I hope that makes sense. And then then your book is attached nicely to your album cover. All right, so you have your cover. See, I do have that over some, so that needs to be trimmed. So the 8 inches is going to be too much, I find, to attach the book to the box. All right, so that needs to be trimmed off. That needs to be done before you, if you can, before you do your book. You need to fit your cover before you attach your pages to it, okay? So you can see here, I've got too much, that 1/8 of an inch there can be cut away, all right? And that's what I would do. Like I said, this book here is pretty much the size of the pages. The cover should be no more than just a tiny bit more than the pages, okay? Definitely not this much. It will look funky. Now, this book is taller than the box is wide. So what I did was I fixed it so that the flushness is at the bottom, what I consider the bottom of the box, and the overhang is at the top of the box. I didn't try to put it in between the two. It looks nicer if you make it flush at the bottom, like that, and let the overhang go at the top. Okay? It's not that much, but it looks better to be done only on one end. And I liked doing it at the top because it was less noticeable, and matter of fact, you don't notice it at all. Okay, okay, now when you're attaching the book to the box, the first thing you want to do is cover your box, the outside of this box cover here. So what I did was use, let's see, I used a smaller paper, so there was a portion of it that did not cover the box. So what I did was, let's see, let's take this piece here for instance. Let me see how long this is. I think this is 8 inches. Yes, this is the 8-inch piece. And let's just say that this is the whole, like it should be. And I just, instead of cutting it to fit, I took my finger and finger pressed it to a creased edge here. Okay. Now before I did that, of course, I put all my glue down. You determine the top of the box from the bottom of the box, and how you do that is I always use my joint where the two sides of the boxes meet when you put them together. I put my joint at the bottom of the box, so it's nice and clean edge here. Okay. So that's how I determine. I cover the whole bottom of the box, especially the edges, with red line tape. Yes, you can use score tape for this because there will be really no pulling against the bottom of the box. So just get your tape down on the bottom. I used the same tape on the sides here. I went ahead and put all my tape down first, okay, except for the top. Alright, so now I've got all my tape down. I remove the backing from it and I place it carefully, on my paper to know, because it's supposed to go all the way around. This piece isn't going to be quite enough at all, really, but you're going to need more than 8 inches wide. I placed it around, and then I didn't remove all the backing at once. I just removed the backing on the back of it and placed it down on the paper. Okay. And then as I came up the side, I removed one piece of backing at a time. And remember, I used 1/2-inch tape. So I probably had 2 1/2 inches and 1/4 inch here. And I removed the backing and done the first piece, glued it down, make it snug and tight. Then I did the next one, and you can do that because you can pull this back. And then I brought this up, increased it, and then started removing the backing for this on the top part here. And then I laid it down. And like I said, my book did not, the paper didn't meet, but of course it was bigger than this. It came over to about here. So there was a gap about this big that had no paper. But I didn't mind that because the book is going to sit flat on here. So first thing you do is cover the outside of your box with paper, whether you fully cover it or partially cover it, that's up to you. Alright, after I had covered this with my decorative paper, I took my tape, I used red line tape, I did every single edge with 1/2 inch, and then I filled it in. And I didn't do it, I left a tiny bit between the tape. I didn't put cover every single inch, but I did quite a lot. But you certainly want to make sure it's close to the edges. You don't want anything pulling away, because this is what's holding the book to the box. Alright, and there will be a little tugging on it. And after I did that, the first thing I made sure to remove is a piece of this from the top, because it would have gone across. The whole 1/2 inch piece here, the backing from it, so that I could lay down my edge first without the rest of the book grabbing down on me. So I do my gluing and taping gradually as much as I can. Okay, I don't just remove it and flop it on there, because it just don't always work that way for me. So what you have to do here is to make sure everything is flush. And the way to do that is your finger, because your finger has give in it because of that little bit of chubbiness to it. At least mine's chubby. And make sure that your bottom is flush down here, okay? And you can take your finger to help guide you. Okay, and I start at this corner. Sometimes I even use both fingers like this to help balance. Okay, and I hold the top of the box in place with these fingers. I've got the book with my pointer finger and my thumb, and it all helps me to balance. And this isn't stuck down. I'm not letting it touch until I'm ready for it to touch. And so as long as you don't press it, it won't glue until you say so. Alright, and when you have it where you want it, then you can kind of press it. And it'll hold just enough for you to go back and press the rest of it. Now, the best way to do this is before you add the book to the cover. That way, you'll have more. You can come in here and press with your finger. You see, and open it and press it out. So easier to do this before you put your pages in. Okay, but it is possible to do after the pages are in. I'm just saying because you could just flip it forward. But it's totally up to you. But I did not attach, I don't believe I attached my book to my box until my book was almost completely finished. Okay, and that means I had all the pages covered, all the pockets done, and I just had decorating maybe to do left. Okay, so this would be one of the last things you do. So you don't even have to put the pages into the cover until, you know, you've practically finished it. And that's really cool about this book. For one thing, you don't want to be pressing on your box more than you have to, especially if you're using the lightweight paper instead of the medium weight chipboard. Okay. Alright, so that pretty much covers that. Talking about lightweight and medium weight chipboard, let me put another tip in here for you. I know a lot of people like to cover the insides of their boxes, and that is pretty cool. But I'm going to tell you that it does tighten up your box sliding your drawer to slide in and out. Now this drawer does of course not go to this. This is a heavyweight chipboard. This is a lightweight. But the kit is a lightweight. And so if you add paper in here, it stands to reason that it's going to tighten your box sliding in and out. Now that is totally up to you, and sometimes if your paper's too thick, it will totally hinder it from going in and out at all. So be careful when you are applying paper to the inside of your box. You might just want to try it, put a strip in there first before you glue it down, and see how snug it's going to make it. You could even just cover the bottom this part instead of the sides and the top. Top isn't even actually necessary to cover inside. So, but you would see this part when you pull the box out for sure, and the sides, but if you can't cover the sides, you at least could cover the bottom. So it just depends on the thickness of your paper, and maybe you would want to use one of those flimsier papers. Some companies, they have pretty paper, but it's kind of flimsy, like this one, for instance. Beautiful paper, but you can hear it is very thin, and it is definitely not cardstock weight. This is more like printer paper. And so you might could use something like this and cover the inside and see how it fits better than cardstock. So for instance, let's just take this piece of paper and slip it in here. If it'll stay, I'll pull it out this way. And we'll see. It tightens. See how it's tightened the box enough that it wants to push the paper out. That's what you don't want, okay, because it's going to put a strain on your box on the outside, and you don't want that. You don't want to wrestle with it every time you want to open and close it. All right, you want it to be comfortable. And if you use a piece of paper that is no more than a piece of paper, then you might can get away with that. I just wanted to put that note in there for you so you don't do like me, do something, get to the end of it, almost finish it, and then realize you've done something that has really messed it up. So just letting you know that so far I've not actually covered the insides of my boxes, but that don't mean that I never will. So I just wanted to tell you that. So I hope everything's clear. You can decorate your cover after you attach it to the box. It makes it much easier to decorate afterwards, unless you're going to do a lot of pushing and pulling and tugging on it. But that's the best way to do it, decorate it afterwards. But you already want to have your paper, your decorative paper on here. If you're going to add decorative paper to the cardstock, you want to do that before you apply it to the box and have everything as it should be. Okay? Alright, well, I hope that explains everything. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at thescrapsofmylife@yahoo.com, and I will be happy to get an answer to you. If I do not answer you right away, you can contact me through through the boutique at The Scraps of My Life by Julie. The boutique is The Scraps of My Life Boutique. And that's at Zibit.com, and the address is below this video. Also, you can contact me through my blog. My email is on my blog, and I'll have the address below for you there. Thank you for purchasing my kits, and thank you for putting up with my blundering and stuttering. And I hope this project turns out beautiful for you, and I hope that you will share the finished project with me. So everybody have a great day. Thank you so much, and I'll be seeing you soon.